Emotionally immature parents often appear curious about their child's thoughts and experiences, but this curiosity has conditions attached. Questions are not asked to understand the child, but instead to guide the child back to the parent's perspective and preferences. Questions can also be used as surveillance or to gather information to later weaponize and use against the child. The parent may ask, "What are you feeling? What did you do at school today?" But the purpose of this question is not connection. The child may receive harsh judgment about how their behaviors might have made the parent look bad. Instead of listening openly, the parent corrects details, interrupts, dismisses the child's feelings or perspective, and might use the information to start a lecture. The conversation is about control, not connection. Children learn that answering honestly will not lead to understanding, but instead it leads to being told that they're wrong, overreacting, or misunderstanding the situation, including their own opinion. The parent doesn't know how to handle the child's growing independence, differences of opinion, or discomfort. So they try to shut it all down as fast as they can and pretend it doesn't exist. What emotionally immature parents also shut down along the way is the connection with their child. And eventually they may find that a relationship doesn't exist. When it is unsafe or unpleasant to confide in a parent, distance naturally develops and communication begins to lessen. The child may start giving short, neutral answers, keep conversations very shallow and on superficial topics, or avoid conversation altogether. The child has learned that being vulnerable or sharing the wrong information can literally be unsafe. Children confide in a parent in hopes of guidance and emotional support. They're not looking for criticism, negativity, or even emotional volatility and punishment. Truly understanding another person requires tolerating differences of perspective other than your own. Connection requires trust, patience, listening, and the ability to sit with uncertainty. When a child says or does something unfamiliar, has a thought, emotion, or experience, the emotionally immature parent jumps in trying to fix, correct, or dismiss in order to restore their own sense of certainty. The parent may believe that they are attentive and involved while the child feels fundamentally misunderstood. Basically, the child's inner world is not part of the relationship, which leads to a very superficial connection. When emotionally mature parents ask questions, they do so to genuinely learn about the child and their experience, not trying to reshape it. They allow the child's feelings to exist even when the parent disagrees. Advice and corrections still happen, but they don't happen at the moment that the child is actually confiding in the parent. At that time, the parent should not react harshly and not really react at all. You are there to listen and provide positive encouragement when you can. When your child is confiding in you, that's a really good time to remember, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. If there is something said, like a behavior or something that you think needs to be corrected, you can address it, but do it at a later time when things are calm, casually. My children tend to be most receptive before bed, and you don't approach it in a way that attacks their character. You say, I noticed you said you ripped up such and such's paper in front of their face during that story. And that might not have been the best plan of action. What do you think maybe you should have done differently there? And then you start engaging with the child. You speak to your child as if they're another human being, not as if they're some little minion that you have ultimate power and authority over. Instruction given during a heated emotional exchange doesn't stick, and it doesn't have the desired impact. It might be teaching your child, but it's not teaching exactly what you think. It's teaching that they can't trust you and that you are unsafe and unable to give them guidance. And kids really need somebody safe to talk to. If you grew up with a parent like this, recognizing that your difficulty opening up was not a personal failure can be clarifying. It is a reasonable, normal nervous system response not to want to share a bunch of information with someone who has repeatedly shown that their questions aren't genuine. They have an ulterior motive. You did the right thing by not opening up. A terrible reaction is why so many estranged adult children were unable to have a conversation with their parents. The parents are too emotionally unstable to discuss harm or anything they find uncomfortable. The same way they were too immature to handle a lot of the answers their children gave when they were pretending to be curious. You can't have a deep conversation with an adult permanently on the emotional level of a toddler. And unfortunately, that immaturity is why many of these relationships fell apart or never developed in the first place. Have a good day.